Welcome. My name is Raven Rudolph, and you are listening to the podcast Budget Your Energy, episode number 5. Yeah, I've got to one of the milestones, so very proud of that. And as usual, I'm gonna take whatever's up here, try float it down to here, bring it out through the microphone into your phone, into your home, and just shed light on things that are on my mind and topics that I like to talk about my journey, and see where that conversation unscripted goes. So here goes to the babble. But the topic I want to discuss today is a sentence that popped out in a book that I was reading, but quite a while ago. And I saved the sentence and I never really used it because at that time everything was smooth sailing, the ocean was smooth, the wind was up, the sails were blowing, and that sentence is, it is easy to be correct when it is convenient. And there's so many different ways to apply this sentence. You can professionally, personally, in sports, in life, in relationships, internally with the relationship with yourself. It really made me think. So starting on the professional side, I think with regards to me being in hospitality and in bars, I've worked on some teams and many pre-openings in different teams and met different people, and one of the main things was that I witnessed and observed I witnessed and observed times in which, when the pressure was not on, when the responsibility was not on the shoulders yet, when push didn't come to shove, relationships formed very nicely. People were in a good space with each other. They were able to talk to each other. They were able to help each other, lend a hand, and then laugh with each other, entertain each other. And then it would go into the situation where the stakes get real, in the hotel or the bar or whatever has to open. And then people, and this is not everyone, this is just an observation, but then you would see certain teams and people start getting more about defending their position and place rather than working together anymore, and simple things like asking for a hand in your department that is completely outside of the department who you're asking from. And then to see people, so there's two sides of this, to see people look after themselves before yourself, which is not a bad thing, right? Because at first you cannot help others if you have not helped yourself. You cannot, if you have this much energy and you spend this much on helping everyone else, you're probably going to give them bad help and you're going to forget yourself. So I understand that perspective, but I also have doubts when you are in these places, and doubts is the wrong word. I have my reservations when I am forming relationships or trying to discover the person or people that I'm dealing with in easy times, because I think that is majority of the time not where I find out the true colors of this person. At the same time, I have made my closest friends and my closest relationships through the hardest times. So that's the good side of what I'm trying to talk about. It's not doom and gloom at all, but the good side of it is I have fallen and hit lows and had certain people disappear, but certain people stay. And those people that stayed in the hard times, that's why my circle now is so small, that honor circle. People always talk about that, but that's why I have a trust that cannot be broken for these people, the loyalty that cannot be touched. And a phone call that will never be ignored. So that's what's interesting about both of these. And let's move on to, let's say, a sport. Could be the same as well, where you have everyone in alignment during a social situation, right? And you're on this team and you're all laughing and giggling, and then what happens when that person makes the mistake that makes the team lose? The reaction is very important for me from the rest of the team. Is it about number 19 dropped the ball on the side, or number 12, whoever the name is, missed the goal, or my partner in paddle hit the fence, without a bounce? How we react in loss truly defines who we are and who people can see us to be, and what our legacy becomes. Going back to sentence, it's easy to be correct when convenient. It's easy to be nice to your family when everyone's got a job and the bills are paid. It's easy to be friends with people when you're both going into a bar or restaurant where half on the table. It's easy to say sweet things to each other when the environment around you is correct and smooth sailing, as I like to say. These are definitely important. I'm not saying they're not important, but they are not the definition of character for me personally. And now to move away from that, I'm really just going on to an internal relationship. And I'll speak specifically about myself. This year, I have been very vocal about mentioning that my desire to gain weight, to eat a bit better, to look after my body. Now I'm in my 30s. I think it's probably late, but definitely a time that I should start being a bit more mature in how I look after my body. So when everything around me is peaceful, it's very easy. It's very easy to wake up early when you have no stress of a deadline at work. Do some sit-ups, prepare some food. It's very easy for me to record these in advance and cut them up and schedule them when I don't have a hotel to open, or I have, let's say, job security sorted and all these kind of things. It's very easy for me to be in touch with my family, for example, when I don't have too much going on in here. Not too much, when I don't have a lot more stuff going on in my mind, or problems to solve in my life and decisions to make. That is not the definition of who I am as, let's say, in a friendship, relationship, familyship, whatever that word is, what I am in a team. It's very easy to walk into beverage teams and just high five everyone and say, hey, smile, and let's get this going, and we're together, when there's only 3 people at the bar. There's no complaints to deal with. That's when it's convenient. But I believe that we have these life hacks and these moments that we need to use to our advantage in order to step up in the inconvenient times. To show true strength and character in an inconvenient time as a person that I want to listen to and learn from, and talk to or observe. I admire leaders that can take busyness, slow it down, delegate it, not into just delegate and pass it off, but delegate it in a clever fashion that makes sense. I admire people that can take all the noise in their head and sit with themselves and break it down. I admire leaders and teams that work together under pressure. I adore seeing how teams like that celebrate when they do pass, when they do get to the point of, let's say, a win or an achievement through adversity. I admire looking at myself in the mirror, in my eyes in the mirror, not looking at myself, but I admire it when I'm able to take the noise of the world and completely bring it down to a bite-sized level of understanding. I am more confident in myself when I'm able to reach that state of peace during an environment of chaos. And there's many different ways to do this. It's not about being born this way. It's not about knowing something that someone else doesn't. It's about being honest with myself. It's about being honest and true. Being able to sit and say, I feel overwhelmed now. I'm not able to write a blog post, for example, or I don't have the energy to record, or whatever that could be. And to say, okay, that's how I feel. Noted. Now what are we going to do about that? Where are we going to go to next? What is the step that can be done with very little effort in order to move in the right direction? If I wake up and I feel horrible or tired or overwhelmed, but I manage to do 15 sit-ups instead of 50, it's still a step in the right direction. And it's still a mind game with myself that says, could have done nothing, did something. Rather do 100% of something than rather do a little bit of something than 100% of nothing. And I think it's important to apply that into day-to-day life too. I think, you get to work and it's just not your day. Don't give up. You don't have to achieve everything on your to-do list. But prioritize or choose a couple of things and get those out the way, just because you can. And let me know how you feel after that. I think aligning yourself with people that really, really, really not have your back, but that are there in the tough times, is people you should, seeds you should plant in your garden, people you need to keep close, relationships you need to nurture and water. These are longevity relationships. Not friends, relationships. These are things that will last longer than you. These are relationships that can build futures. And these are important. And I'm very grateful to say that I do have these. Not many, but I do have them. And that makes me really happy and fortunate. But going back to the more practical side of it all, not as in-depth as that, but let's say I'll go through an example. I had to write for the Substack blog post, Budget Your Energy, because I said I would do it once a week and I have to hold myself accountable. And I just was not in the mood at all. Not at all. I had my computer open, then I scrolled across to YouTube, then I went on to see if things were for sale that interest me, or what the newest guitar is, or how Steph Curry is playing in basketball, or who's doing some crazy moves in paddle. But I did not start writing. And then I checked myself. I caught myself in this procrastination, and I realized it. Going back to the first step, realizing, not in the mood. Also human, not my most efficient state. Check. Now what happens? Now what do I do? Do I carry on scrolling and be upset? Upset is the wrong word. Let's say disappointed with my outcome. Do I not be accountable for what I've said I would do and question my character? And there was a beautiful thing that happened when everything was convenient and easy. I'd set up a habit. Now, if you go read the book, The Power of Habits, they talk about the habit loop. And it is about setting a cue that creates a reaction and then has a reward. And that's a circle of a habit, a loop. And what's awesome about that is when I was in a good space and everything was perfect, I always used to light this candle next to me, and I would ensure that when I started writing, I would light the candle, usually lavender, because I love the smell of lavender, and it's just great for many subconscious things that I have. But I would light the candle and I would get into the zone, flow state, write what I needed to write. And once I was happy with that, I'd blow the candle out, like a ritual, right? But it was a subconscious effort to get myself into flow state or into a creative state and away from my mental block. And what's so interesting about that is the candle and the writing have nothing to do with each other. But the candle subconsciously unblocked something mentally which allowed me to physically write. So that's the cue and the reaction. And then the reward was, when I was finished, I kind of looked back and I was like, done it. Well played, Ray. And that was a rewarding feeling that then got me to put the phone away and actually do other things. Was it my longest article? No. Was it my most informative article? No. Was it a piece of art that made me think that, all of this is going to take off? No. Was it honest and genuine? Yes. Did I start and finish it on time? Yes. Did that make me feel good? Yes. Did I learn that this habit is a powerful tool for the subconscious in order to get away from constraints that I put on myself? Yes. Do I think that you could find something as well that would allow you the same benefit? Or self-control is not the word, but control over your efficiency or outcome? I think so. It doesn't have to be a candle. It can be a bracelet, it can be a song, it can be a picture. Some people I've heard, it's like when you're running on to the field or you're preparing for something, some people play a certain song. Whatever that method is, that's up to you. For example, I can't take a candle everywhere, so it works for my home environment, but does it work if I go to a cafe? I think it'll be a bit weird if I just pull out a candle while I'm supposed to be working or working on something. The point I'm trying to get to is, it is very okay, number one, to be in a rut, to not feel full of energy and have so much energy to budget. That is okay. It is normal. But it is not okay to let that control you for longer than necessary. It is not okay to let that get you down, or to give that control to an environment around you without at least trying to do something about it. And number three, it's a lot easier than you think to create simple habit loops that create simple outcomes that over time compound into very complex achievements. And I hope that sticks in. It's like if you watched a beautiful podcast TED Talk about someone has zoomed far in and you see a grey block. And that grey block, they say, it says to the crowd, are you an artist? Can you draw anything? And they said no. Then it says, can you draw this grey block? It says yes. Can you draw this grey block 15 times, 20 times? Yes. And he zooms out and zooms out and zooms out and zooms out. And it turns out these grey blocks are pixels. What's stunning about that is all these pixels are one color, neutral, and just bland and seemingly effortless to create. But you place them all in the right time, and over time that effort compounds and all that, and that becomes a beautiful, definite defined picture, which at first glance you wouldn't be able to draw. But with the method and with doing small bits of productivity at a good rate and achieving these small goals along the way, you're able to create the work of art, to accomplish the goal. So if you are feeling overwhelmed, don't roll over and let it take you down. If you are in a convenient environment, use that time to build habits, relationships, routines that will be there for you to access when times are tough. If you are in a team that is in a convenient space, ensure that you are the same person when times are tough and inconvenient. Do not worry about who's doing what around you and if they are right or wrong, etc. You can't change the world, you can only change yourself. Ensure that when times get tough, you are the same person that can be relied on, that incorporates a team. And if you're having this instance with yourself when you need to learn how to get yourself away from how you feel right now or aligned with the task, remember small little things, small little cues that can create reactions and actions, and then create rewards. And if you can do that, I think you'll be okay. And that's where we're going to end it today. Thank you very much for listening. I do want to also thank so many people who have reached out. I've got messages on Instagram. I've got messages on some comments on YouTube. I've got some subscribers, and I really value your opinion. And if you have sent me a message, I think you are very aware that I have replied. And yeah, I didn't think that I'd get these from certain people, and I'm really, 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 really happy about it. So thank you very much. Please keep it going. I will do my best to keep it going on this side. And thank you for giving me a few moments of your time. Hope you have a great week ahead. And one love. Budget your energy. Be strong, be true, be genuine. And I'll see you next week.